Good day everyone. Let us now dive into the provocative topic of rape culture from the book The Alarming Rise of Rape by Kate Harding. So the book discusses about a culture in which most victims of sexual assault and rape never report it because they fear they won't be believed and know that even if they are believed, they are likely to be mortified and harassed, blamed and shamed throughout the legal process that ultimately leads nowhere. According sa mga feminist scholars, sa rape culture may nangyayari na emotional and physical terrorism. It's like an omnipresent and unidentifiable threat. So, anytime and anywhere, pwedeng may maging biktima. Especially sa mga babae. In-specify nga dito ni Kate Harding yung mga Western woman na madalas makaranas ng ganitong circumstances. So, an example of this situation is when a female judge named Jacqueline Hatch of Arizona, nang sinabi niya sa isang victim ng sexual assault na nangyari sa isang bar, sinabi niya na, if you wouldn't have been there that night, none of this would have happened. So, sinisi pa yung victim na yon. Rape culture also encourages us to scrutinize victim stories for any evidence that they brought violence upon themselves. So, for us to not rush into judgment. So, hindi agad pinaniniwalaan yung mga nagiging victim unless there is physical evidence or you are kidnapped and murdered. Kaya nga ang nangyari nito, yung mga babae yung nag-a-adjust by restricting their movements or clothing. Sinabi nga ni Kate Harding na anyone can be raped, pero mas possible na maging victim ang mga babae since sila lang naman yung madalas pinagbabawalan or binabantaan sa pananamit nila sa pag-inom ng alak or sa pagpunta-punta kung saan. In Chapter 1, Kate Harding tackles about the power of myth, including the miscommunication theory, the 7 basic rape myths, and miscommunication myth-busting. So, the power of myth in the book's context refers to the underlying narratives and beliefs that shape societal attitudes towards sexual violence. Kasama na nga rito yung sa masculinity, consent, and victimhood. So, because of these myths, nada-downplay yung seriousness ng rape kasi nga mas sinisisi pa yung mga victim na responsable sa crime na nangyari. Kate Harding pointed out, if the real crime of rape is the violation of another person's autonomy, the use of another person's body against their wishes, then it shouldn't matter kung ano man yung suot ng biktima nung nangyari yung crime, or kung umiinom ba siya, or kung meron ba siya mga past sexual experience, or whether she fought hard enough to get bruises on her knuckles and skin under her fingernails. So what matters is that the attacker deliberately ignored another person's basic human right to determine what she does with her own body. So it's not about sex, it's about the power. Next is miscommunication theory. Psychologists' dominant explanation for this extensive and continued sexual violence against women is miscommunication theory. So this theory has been described by psychologist Mary Crawford as the bandwagon of the 90s and is widely used to explain date rape, stranger rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment. As applied to sexual violence, miscommunication theory is used to argue that rape and other forms of sexual abuse are often the outcome of miscommunication between partners. Sinasabi lang dito na nami-misinterpret ng mga lalaki yung verbal and non-verbal communication ng mga babae, kaya akala nila gusto ng mga babae na mag-sex kahit hindi naman. And yung mga babae naman is parang hindi nila nasasabi ng clearly and effectively yung salitang no. So in other words, the guy made an honest mistake and the girl failed to protect herself. Pero merong ginawang focus group interview discussion sila Fritz and Kitzinger sa mga lalaki at babae. And then they found out na wala namang problema yung mga lalaki sa pag-intindi sa mga indirect refusal. They also discovered that women rightly perceive that they'll come across as rude bitches if tinanggihan nila yung mga lalaki ng derechahan. Kaya hindi talaga sa different communication style ng babae at lalaki ang problema. Like for example, sa mga scenario sa club or bar, especially sa mga western countries, may babae na sumasayaw sa dance floor and then may lumapit sa kanya ng mga lalaki. And then yung isang lalaki, grab niya yung kamay niya or yung damit niya and then sumilip siya. Tapos, ang ginawa mo, parang hinawi mo lang yung kamay niya. And then, nagtawanan lang sila. Tapos, the next thing na ginawa ng lalaki is grinab niya na yung boobs mo. These are the things our society normalizes na ang the best way na gawin ng mga babae ay umiwas na lang at lumayo. And then, hayaan yung mga lalaki na yun na gawin kung ano yung ginagawa nila. They feel that further confrontation is useless and only causes more stress. Kaya nga mas nagiging entitled yung mga lalaki na okay lang sunggaban yung mga babae because of what they are wearing or kapag sumasayaw and umiinom sila sa mga club since malulusutan lang din naman nila yon. Next is the 7 basic rape myths. Amy Grab and Emily Turner explain that rape myths vary among societies and cultures. Sinasabi sa book na yung rape myths daw ay hindi nakabase sa facts, kundi nasiserve lang siya as a psychological comfort. So, ito yung 7 categories kung saan nagfo-fall yung American rape myths. And then, meron din tayong tinatawag na miscommunication myth busting. Sabi ni Kate Harding, if rape myths are the engine of rape culture, how do we begin to break them down? By simply repeating the facts of the matter as widely and as often as possible. Kaya naman naglapat si Kate Harding ng mga fact sa bawat myth. So, isa-isahin natin. So, first is, she asked for it. So, sabi dito, imposible naman na ikaw na biktima hiningi mo na i-rape ka kasi ang definition ng rape is a sex na hindi mo hiningi o hindi mo ginusto. Next is, it wasn't really rape. So, hindi mo naman masasabi yung nangyari as medyo rape lang. So, kapag pinilit mo yung isang tao na makipag-sex sa'yo, ang tawag doon is rape. So, either tinatawag mo yung nag-report o yung biktima na sinungaling or mali ka talaga at rape talaga yon. And then next is he didn't mean to. Sabi, rapists like to rape and most of them do it more than once. So, wala namang rape incident na aksidente. So, lahat yon is intentional. Another one is she wanted it. So, gaya nga rin ng kanina, hindi naman isusuplong ng isang tao na ni-rape siya kung ginusto niya naman yon. So, next is she lied. So, ito yung medyo totoo since merong nagre-report ng rape na hindi naman totoo or nagsisinungaling yung victim. Pero tandaan natin na majority of people do not lie about being a victim of violent crime since filing a false report is a crime itself. And then, rape is trivial event. So, parang common na daw yung rape. So, dito na papasok yung about sa sexual purity and about consent. So, hindi naman ibig sabihin na kahit marami ng karanasan yung isang babae sa sex is parang normal na yun sa kanya, hindi na yung big deal. So, ang problem dito is yung pinilit mo yung isang tao na makipag-sex sa'yo without their consent and hindi naman sila willing. And then lastly, rape is a deviant event. This is the myth that props up most of the other 6. Rape hardly ever happens, and it's only committed by mentally ill monsters, not people who resemble or are my friends, coworkers, and family members. As long as you believe this, it makes sense that she must be lying or he must not have meant it or it must not have been real rape. And that's all. Thank you for listening.